Okay, and then okay.
Good to go?
Yep, we are live.
Okay,
Nice.
You can start.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sunrise Howard County Earth Day live stream. Today, we are hosting multiple groups and performer presentations, but first, I would like to explain Earth Day Live. To celebrate Earth Week, Sunrise has been hosting a 3-day live stream, Earth Day Live. The future that millions protested on the streets for 50 years ago on the first Earth Day has not come. So we are following in their footsteps, and we refuse to give up. We demand a people's bailout, a Green New Deal, and land back for Indigenous people. The people's bailout focuses most on the current problem of unemployment caused by COVID-19. Many are suffering, and we demand that the government provide for their economic needs. Afterwards, we want the government to send our country on a path towards sustainability. To do this, we present the Green New Deal, a vision to put our country back to work while addressing climate change and ensuring justice for frontline communities. Finally, we would like our government to acknowledge the rights of Indigenous tribes and give them their sacred land back. Time is running out. The damage will be irreversible unless we act now. We must be the change that we seek. Today, our focus is political action and voter engagement. Now, I'll pass the attention over to our first speaker, Ian May, who will be discussing social ecology, communalism, and Murray Bookchin. Take it away, Ian.
So, we spend a lot of time talking about like electoral politics, things that we can do within the system that we have. But I think a lot of people are too scared to think bigger. We can't be saying, oh, we need to elect this person. We need to get this person in Congress and think that that's going to solve all our problems. We're not going to get where we need to be through what we have right now. We have to start thinking about, to use the phrase, big structural change, and not just change to the electoral system, not just change to the government, fundamentally changing how we think about how our society works, how we relate to the environment. A theorist by the name of Murray Bookchin proposed a plan known as social ecology. For most of human history, or at least recorded history, we've kind of thought of ourselves as humans as separate from the environment. And even in modern environmental groups, environmental messages, we speak of it in terms of protecting the environment. We're over here, the environment's over here, we have to protect the environment. We don't need to protect the environment. We need to realize that we are part of the environment, and the environment's survival and our survival are the same. We have to stop looking at it in terms of, okay, here's production, here's how's that going to impact the environment, what can we do to mitigate the effects? We have to change the way we produce so that we're not polluting our living space. We need to stop looking at fossil fuels in terms of we need more renewables, we need less fossil fuels. We need to completely change our energy production. We need to say we can't allow these methods of energy production to exist if they are going to harm our environment, because they're not ultimately, like, they're harming the environment, which harms us. We have to say we're part of the environment. And to that end, we can't depend on systems that we already have to change systems that we have. It just doesn't work like that. We can't work with the oil companies to produce less oil. We can't work with the coal factories to burn less coal. We have to say that, coal miners should have a just transition to some other job, but they can't be coal miners anymore because we can't afford to have coal miners. We can't afford to have people drilling for oil. We can't afford to do that. The economics of the matter are entirely irrelevant because money can't buy saving the planet. Money is not real. Like, it's not real. It doesn't mean anything. It used to mean like it was tied to gold and silver. It's not anymore even. And even gold and silver was completely useless in terms of human lives. Money is not real. The planet is real. People's lives are real. We have to stop looking at these abstracted notions of value and start thinking about what things actually mean, what the actually important things are. And we can't be afraid to put forth radical notions about what we need to do, because what we need to do is radical. We need radical change. I know most of us are probably a little bit disappointed, a little bit upset with how the Bernie Sanders campaign went. He was the only politician who was seriously talking about the Green New Deal. He was, in many people's eyes, our last hope to get something big like that passed. I would like to put forward that Bernie Sanders and his campaign was not our last chance. It was their last chance to not have us have to tear everything down. Because if we can't change the system, if they won't let us change the system, we are going to have to remove the system. That is the only way that we are going to survive. So, voting is important. It's good to participate in democracy, but it can't be the end. Get together with your local community, get together with anyone you know, ask them about these issues, ask them, what do you think can be done? And find a way to do it. That's the only way that we can get what we need done, because the political establishment has shown that they are not willing to listen. So I guess we just have to take matters into our own hands a little bit. That's all I've got for you today.
Thank you, Ian. I really, really liked your performance. I thought the message really resonated with all of us. Our next student performer is Anjali Biswal. She's a student at Centennial High School and will be performing Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for the intro, Daphne.
I love that song so much. Thank you, Auntie. That was really beautiful. All right. So next up, we have Liz Kato, who's the coordinator for Indivisible Howard County, Maryland, and she will be teaching us how to get the right laws passed.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Liz Kato, and as Stephanie mentioned, I'm the coordinator of Indivisible Howard County, Maryland. And we're going to talk about what you can do to pass laws to save the planet. So Indivisible Howard County is an informal group of citizens in Howard County, Maryland, who advocate for fairness, inclusion, and democracy. Our convictions compel us to fight racism, xenophobia, authoritarianism, and corruption. And our mission is to build a fairer and more compassionate democracy. The way we do this is by helping people to become engaged community activists. And so I'm going to talk about that today. The goals of the next 30 minutes is at the end of this, I really hope that you will feel empowered to be an active citizen in your own democracy, that you'll know how to find which elective districts you're in, who your representatives are, and how to contact them, and that you'll feel comfortable and able to contact your representatives about climate change and the environment to make a difference. So first question is, why bother? Obviously, it's a lot of work. You've got schoolwork, you've got other things going on. Why take the time to send an email or make a phone call or even go down to Annapolis to show up for a hearing? And the reason is that engaging our elected officials is a powerful action step towards implementing laws and regulations to stop climate change. And just want to remind you of what Alice Walker said. The most common way that people give up their power is by thinking that they don't have any. It's very interesting. I have to confess, before 2016, I was not that involved. But once I started to become involved, I have just been really surprised at how few people take the time to learn what laws are being passed, learn who the representatives are, and go and reach out to those representatives. And because so few people do it, you really have a big voice when you stand up and demand to be heard. So that's really the thinking behind Indivisible. Indivisible started after the 2016 election. It was founded by two congressional staffers who thought about, what do they know about how the government works, about how the government is able to change our lives. And what they came down to, based on their experience, is basically this. Your representative wakes up every morning thinking about how to get reelected. To get reelected, they need happy constituents and they need good press. So your job, if you want to change things, is to convince them that their constituents want them to fight for the environment and that they're going to look really bad and get a bad reputation if they don't do that. But don't just listen to me. We actually have a real live, well, actually it's recorded, but delegate from Maryland, Delegate Eric Abersol from the District 12 Maryland General Assembly. And he recorded this to tell us a little bit about how constituent outreach looks like to him, sitting there in Annapolis and making the laws that affect the rest of us.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to my office again. So happy to have you here with me and tell you what you can do and what you should be doing. Let's talk about why you should be engaged. Whatever you believe or whatever you don't believe this, you can make a difference. You can make a difference by reaching out to us. You can make a difference by making yourself apparent to us. We actually are influenced by the things you tell us. It helps us. But the number one thing you do, let's not forget, is be sure and vote. Okay. But after that, here in Citizenship 101, you can learn how to contact us in more personal and direct ways. There's lots of ways to do that. One of the best ways is direct contact with us. Many people say, should I write a handwritten note or should I write an email? In reality, emails are better. They get to us faster. Our staff see them quicker. We know they're personal. This is the 21st century. It's time to send us an email. When you go to send an email, don't worry about being an expert on the topic you're writing on. In fact, emails that are several pages long usually are too long for me to wade through and get all the details. If you have something you want to write to me about, I'm concerned, for example, about the proliferation of chlorpyrifos in the state. I think chlorpyrifos should be banned. I have seen this bill, HB number XXX, that I think you should support. Please let me know if you support this bill. That will really be enough to get a response from me. Important point also is you might be writing to a legislator that you think agrees with you or disagrees with you. Now, if they disagree, wouldn't it hurt to give them some details? If we agree, still mail us. Your affirmation helps to empower us to believe what we want to do and follow through with the thing that you and I both believe together. It's an incredibly important point for you to do that. There are other things you can do then. You can come down to Annapolis or to Washington if you're working on a federal issue and visit with your representatives. We're happy to see you. We're delighted to see you because, well, you are our voters. But it's important to know that while you can contact everyone in the legislature, it's your representatives who most want to hear from you. And there are ways of finding out who we are. There's a site called MGALEG, which is Megaleg. We call it, we put a little extra E in there when we pronounce it. But on there's a place to find out who your legislators are, and even a button you can click to email us immediately about something. And when we get emails, we get lots of them sometimes. On some issues, we'll answer almost anyone, but we always answer constituents. Whether or not we agree with them, we still give them an answer. And that means we're listening and paying attention to what you're saying. It matters to us a great deal. But then groups like Indivisibles will also have lobby days where they'll come down and I'll have people pour in here into my office and sit and talk to me about issues that matter to me. And I listen. Sometimes I agree. Often, sometimes I don't agree, but if I don't, still listen and pay attention to what they have to say, give them ideas on what we might do with the legislation they're talking about. So it's incredibly important that they go ahead and come in, and if you haven't seen the chance, we're not really mean to you in our offices, and so really it's a great experience to come down here and kind of see how we work and where we are. Calling the office is a great idea. We have staff that can work sometimes. We're only really allowed to keep around part-time in the off season, so you might get an answering machine, which is usually not as satisfactory. We have a very good system for answering emails in particular, really, really quickly. And don't be afraid to canvass. Don't be afraid to go out in the community. If you have a group that is bringing you out to canvass or knock doors about an event, knocking doors is not as bad as everybody thinks it is. When I knock doors, Most of the responses are very positive from people, and actually you have a great deal of effect. People remember when someone has come to their door to talk about something. So find the place that you're comfortable. Are you comfortable behind your keyboard? Then email us. Would you like to take a trip to Annapolis? Then come on down. Would you like to meet people in your neighborhood? Then go there and knock on their doors. Either way, in any of those ways, and all of those ways, you will be making a change in people's outlook, particularly ours since we're voters. Thank you.
So that was from the horse's mouth. Really, people do listen. And to emphasize how simple it can be, this is what it really all you need to say. There was a bill, for example, on community choice energy, and a good letter would be, "Hi, my name is Jane Brown. I'm a constituent of Delegate Abersall. I'm calling to ask the delegate to stop climate change by voting yes on HB 561, the community choice energy bill. I'm 16 years old and this is my future. Thank you." And that's enough for them to know, my constituents are watching me. They want me to do something for the environment. If I don't, they may say bad things about me. They may not vote. They may tell other people not to vote for me next time. And that's really what I'm most concerned about. So writing is simple. What's actually a little bit more difficult is knowing who all the different elected representatives are. So I'm just going to quickly go through the 3 different levels of elected representatives, what they're useful for, and how you get in touch with them. So the first, kind of the most local level, is the county level. So we live in Howard County, Maryland. There's a county executive who serves a 4-year term. And then there's a county council with 5 members who serve 4-year terms. So that's really a kind of local level. Going one step up, there's the state of Maryland. There's a governor serving a 4-year term. And then there's the Maryland General Assembly, which has 2 houses. So there's 47 senators and 141 delegates. It's a little bit confusing here because the delegates are actually elected from multiple delegates from one district. So there's 141 delegates for 47 districts, which means that you have 3 delegates that you can talk to. But hey, it's more people to lobby, so it's not that bad. A weird thing about the state of Maryland is they only pass laws between January and April. So in terms of trying to get them to do something, it's really concentrated in a few months. And then finally, of course, is the one you probably are most familiar with, which is the federal level, the US Congress. So there's 100 senators, 2 from each state, 435 members in the House from all 50 states. So Maryland has only 8. So first of all, question, why should I bother with the county council? What does the county council do? They actually do a lot that affects the environment. They decide things like zoning for solar panels, bike lanes, whether the public schools and buildings in our county are green buildings or whether they're contributing to climate change. They also decide things like plastic bag laws. You can hear some more about that later. So how do you find out who represents you on the Howard County Council? They have a website. I've got it right up here. cchowardcountymd.gov. And it's a little tricky. You have to go all the way down to the bottom of the page, but then it says who represents me. And all you have to do is enter your address and it'll tell you who your representative is, what their phone number is, and have a link to email them directly. So how do you influence the county council? Well, because it's local, it's really easy to go testify in person. And there'll be announcements when they're having hearings for different bills. And so I've got a picture here of Daphne, in fact, testifying. I think this was a solar bill or was it climate change? But anyway, you can see she's got lots of people listening to her. So it's a local environment. It's fairly small. If you speak up, you have to have a lot of influence. And there's a phone number and the website, again, has just one link. Click and you're in. You tell them what you think. So kind of moving up a level, why should you bother with the state legislature? Well, the state legislature has huge power over the environment, and it's one where we also have a fair amount of influence. The state really sets the framework for decisions that affect the climate. So things like incentives for electric vehicles versus gas vehicles, investments in public transportation or more roads, subsidies for clean energy or dirty energy, permission for pipelines. All those sorts of things are made at the state level. So if you care about the environment, it's a really important level to think about pushing. And as Delegate Abersol said, it's pretty easy to find out who your delegates are. If you go to, as he said, Megaleg at maryland.gov, then go up to members, drop down, find my representatives, and click on legislative. You enter your address, and boom, it'll tell you who you need to be contacting. And it's actually even better because then when you go there, as he mentioned, there's phone number, you click on it, you can connect directly. There's email, you can click on it, it'll connect you directly. So it's very easy, and you don't, as we saw, you don't have to write a lot. You just simply have to say, hey, I'm a constituent, I want you to vote this way. And they check those all up. And one thing to remember in particular, well, the county level and the state level, is that the oil interests, the plastic bag interests, the coal interests, all the road interests, all those people, they got a lot of money, and they hire full-time lobbyists to be going at people like Eric and telling them, hey, build more roads, subsidize coal. So if they don't hear from you, they're on pressure from the one side. So it's very, very important that we step up, reach out and say, no, 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 no. Your constituents care about the environment. Think about us. Because at the end of the day, lobbyists don't vote, we vote. So that's how you reach them directly. And then Delegate Abersol had mentioned about lobby days. And these are usually organized by, say, the Sierra Club, HOCO, Climate Action, and Sunrise can tell you when they're happening. And basically, a lot of people troop down to Annapolis, where the state legislature meets, and whoever's organizing it gets you in little groups by your district, gives you talking points, and you go off to meet your elected representatives. And it can be really impressive if you get a whole room full of people all saying the same thing to their representative. And let me tell you, they love young people. If we have a teenager in the group, that's the only person they want to talk to, because again, it's great press. They want to look good. They want to look good to young people, because that's going to help them get reelected. So you have a lot of power if you show up. So finally, why should I bother with Congress? Well, they decide the big things. If the US rejoins the Paris Agreement and national energy standards and the Green New Deal. If you want the Green New Deal, you're going to have to convince Congress. Now, for Maryland, I think most of our elected representatives at the national level are pretty good on this. But again, they've got lots of concerns. And so if they're not hearing from their constituents, I care about the New Deal, they're probably going to be working on something else. So it's very important to keep hammering away at them. And I think Sunrise has just been phenomenal at moving the Green New Deal at the national level. So one nice little convenience is you can actually find your congressional representatives on the same website as you find your state representatives. So you just go back to that Megaleg members, find my representative, but you just click on congressional, put in your address, and it'll tell you who your representatives are in the House of Representatives and your senators, and you can connect them to them there. So finally, just want to leave you with this thought, and that is more people means more impact. It's good to call as an individual, but when a whole bunch of people get together and show up and say, we care about this, representatives start to listen because they want to get reelected. And if there's a whole lot of people out there who keep saying the same thing and are threatening to go out and knock on doors and tell their neighbors and write letters to the editor, they're going to start paying attention. They're going to try to think, well, how should I be voting so that they're going to want to reelect me again? So if you're not already a member of Sunrise, I really strongly encourage that you join Sunrise. It's a fantastic organization. It has done amazing things in a very short time. Be very happy to have you join Indivisible Howard County. You can email us at indivisiblehokomd@gmail.com, and we can let you know what we're doing to change both issues around voting rights, about the environment, about immigration. We've got a whole bunch of different action teams that are working to make a difference. And, you know, if we all call, email, and show up together, we can bend the arc of history. So please be a citizen hero. Any questions?
All right. We got some good questions. So I'll start. Our first one is, how do we get our representatives to listen past all the money? Because I know that's something that they like to bring up.
That's an excellent question. And I think one of the things is, so let's break down, how do you get elected? People have to vote for you. So why do people vote for you? They vote for you because maybe they hear advertisements, or because their friends and their family and other people that they trust say something about them, or they see something about an issue. And so I think it is true that money has a lot of, they're not just taking that money to take the money, they're taking the money to advertise to get reelected. So if we can say, hey, we've got a lot of people out here who are going to talk about you, and we might go out and knock on doors and phone bank and do other things in the next election to get somebody else elected if you don't listen to us. That's how you counterbalance it. And we've had some great examples in 2018. For example, Katie Fry Hester got elected in an area that's considered to be very conservative and has had, a very conservative representative for a very long time. And she definitely did not have much money, but what she had was lots and lots of people, including some, young people in Sunrise, who went out and knocked on, I think, every single door in Western Howard County and said, hey, you should vote for Katie. She's a good person. She cares about the environment. So even though she didn't have the same money that her opponent did, her opponent who denies climate change and, supports oil and all those other things, she was able to get elected because enough people said, we're going to fight for you. So don't underestimate the power of people, because the money from the lobbyists is only to try to buy the next election. There's other ways to get elections.
I think, okay, we have a related question, which is, how much do our representatives really listen to one person or one group, such as the Sunrise Movement, given all of their constituents and obviously the paid lobbyists?
Yep, good question. I'd say there's two things. One is, it depends on the representative, okay? I think it's really sad that we tend to say, oh, they're all politicians, they're all bad, they're all, like that. Whereas there's a lot of variation. There's some people who are really good, and there's some people who are really not good, like Mr. McConnell, for example. So one thing we can do is elect good people. And actually, Sunrise, I believe later on this evening at 7:10, we're actually going to have 50 minutes to talk about how you get people who share your values elected. So that's one thing that helps, is make sure you get good people in. But even if they aren't necessarily as aligned with you, or maybe they're a little bit squishy, there's a fair number who are kind of squishy. They're going to do what they're pushed to. Again, it comes back to, okay, Sunrise has got a lot of people. Now Sunrise plus Indivisible, Sunrise plus Indivisible plus the Sierra Club. Oh, now we're starting to get a lot of people. If you work together in organizations and you get enough coalitions going together, you get enough people showing up, making phone calls, they're going to start listening. Because again, at the end of the day, the lobbyist only has money, and those TV ads are only as useful as for people who don't really know and aren't paying attention. So if they see people are showing up and demanding things, they're going to worry that those TV ads are not going to work as well. So then they'll pay attention. So coalitions and get more people.
For all of our new people, what do you think is the easiest way for them to get started in political action?
Number one, join an organization that can kind of help show you the ropes. So join Sunrise or join Indivisible Howard County, Maryland. And again, I will tell you, I did used to door knock like for President Obama, but after that, I didn't know any of this stuff for 2016. Trump scared me so much. I realized that I had to just put some of my time aside and really work on being a citizen, because democracy was not taking care of itself. And so, I started learning stuff. I learned from other people, and, you will also be able to learn. Just join another group of people who've been around the block for a little bit longer than you have, and you'll pick it up very quickly. Daphne, you might be able to say something about that, right?
Actually, yeah, because I started a few things at once, sort of like with the whole Calvin Ball campaign and then Howard County Indivisible and then Sunrise. It was like, yeah, it sort of all like built upon each other, which is really cool. See, our next question is, oh, being politically engaged can be very time consuming. So what do you think is like the least time consuming way we could just like get a point across to our representative?
Probably email. Well, two things. I'd say either email or phone call. And what I really strongly suggest to everybody, and I hope this will be archived or broadcasted, but people probably didn't have time to do it while I was talking, but if you go to those websites, put your representative's contact information in your contacts in your phone. And then anytime you want to say anything to them, you just go to your contacts, boom, tell them what you think. I mean, how long does that take? Seriously. And for Indivisible Howard County, what we do is we've got these action teams. So they're doing the research to figure out what's the important thing we have to push and who do we have to push. And then every Sunday, we send out an email and we have a couple of items. We say, hey, call up your delegate at the state level and tell them they have to vote this way on this solar panel legislation. You know, call up your county council representative and tell them that they have to close down the contract with ICE. Boom, boom, boom. And if you have it all on your phone, I mean, I've tried it, literally. You can do 3 actions in just a couple of minutes if you're already set up in your phone, and you just simply tell your representatives. They don't know if you spent 3 hours, you know, looking things up and laboring about it, or if you just, you know, quickly sent it in. All they know is that one of their constituents took the time to contact them and tell them how they were supposed to vote on something.
I know there are so many bills that our representatives see, like hundreds. So where can we find them, and like how can we filter them out to the bills that like we care about?
That is a great question. That is, you know, I think this is why so many people just don't get involved. It takes a huge amount of work. And this is another reason lobbyists and the oil companies, et cetera, have so much power. They can hire people full time who do nothing but look through all the different bills. But this is where joining a group helps. So again, the way Indivisible works is, I know I cannot track everything in immigration, in voting rights, in education, in the environment. I just can't do it. But what we've done is we've broken it up in different people who care about different things. Like Daphne's in the energy and transportation team. So we have a small group and they just follow one small area. And when they find something, they'll pull out that law and they'll say to the rest of us, hey, this is the one we need to track. So what I would say is, don't try to do it all yourself. You'll go crazy. Find a group, join Sunrise, join Indivisible, and then let them, you know, pick up one part of it, carry one part of it, and tell everybody else about that. But then really, we have to trust each other to divide and conquer and figure this whole thing out. And if we work together, I think we can have an impact.
Do you think it's necessary that we cite a specific bill or program, or do you think we could just lobby for a general idea, like climate change, for example?
That's a great point. I think to some extent, lobbying for climate change, you kind of need both. And this is one of the things I was thinking a little bit when Ian was talking, is we often try to say you have to do this one or that one. And I think it tends to paralyze people, because you have to, if you feel like you have to decide and just do one thing that's the best, it's hard to decide. But the truth of the matter is, we need to be pushing on all fronts at once. So I think it is helpful just simply to keep raising that awareness of climate change, so that everyone is aware this is a problem we can't hide. We can't, you know, wish it away, and people care about it. But at the same time, we also need, it's hard to hold your representative accountable on climate change because there's so many different variables. You can hold them accountable for how they voted on the Clean Energy Jobs Act. And that's something which, especially when you're working with a group, you can go back afterwards and say, hey, you voted no on the Clean Energy Jobs Act, we may have to think about supporting a challenger in the primary, or maybe, you know, we're not going to knock doors on you. And this is something we actually say pretty often to our representatives is, you want us to come out and knock doors for you in the fall, or at phone bank nowadays, you know, you've got to pass laws. And that's where lobbying specific laws, I think, is helpful, because they know if they've succeeded or failed, and we know. So actually, one thing that a lot of Indivisibles did after 2018 was they did report cards for the representatives, and they actually gave them an A, B, C, or D, and let them know how they were standing based on how they voted.
Wow, actually, I really like that idea.
Yeah. So yeah, Sunrise, you should do that for Howard County. You should go to every single representative and say,
Yeah.
this is how you voted. We're giving you an F.
That's yeah, I like that. Do our representatives, do they have a preference? Like, do they like seeing large groups of people supporting one thing, or do they prefer like meaningful testimonies, or a little bit of both?
Yeah, I think, you know, what's more important than what they like is, what do you like to do? Because I think one problem with activism is people feel like they have to do something that they don't like to do, and then they don't do anything. So I think the most important thing to do is the one that makes you feel energized. It makes you feel like you could do it again. And a kind of crazy one is, I kind of like door knocking. It's sort of, you know, to actually go and talk one-on-one. I would not like to do testimony personally. I think I'd feel really, I don't know, that I've done it once, and for me that was a little bit tougher, but I'm so glad that other people, like Daphne's amazing at it, you know. So I'm really glad there are people who are good at that. I would probably want to do one-on-one just because that's more comfortable for me, but it really, the most important thing is to do something.
Sunrise Movement, we're full of a lot of young people. So is that our greatest advantage? Like, what do you think our best advantage is, and how do we use that?
I would say, being young, because I think it's easy for politicians to kind of dismiss older people as, oh, well, they're just, you know, this is just sort of their thing. But when they see young people, it's like, holy cow, you know, even young people who care about this. And there's just it's photogenic, you know, every politician wants to be surrounded by, you know, energetic young people, the future, et cetera. So use it. You got it, use it. Yeah, so I would say it's a strength, the energy. The other, I think, strength that you guys have is that you're a lot less inhibited, you're more imaginative. You know, you're willing to try new things. I have to say, you know, I had not thought of the Green New Deal. But once it comes out, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And I think that's something that young people would come up with. So I think embrace your courage and your willingness to think about new possibilities.
Thank you. We have one last question. I think everyone wants to know, but how much time do you devote to political action? I mean, I feel like you do everything.
You know, the thing is, you can devote as much or as little as you want. I mean, I have to say, yeah, for me, this is kind of my second job. But it's just because I'm so worried about the future of this country. It's hard for me not to, but you don't have to. You know, I think if you even spend 30 minutes a week, you can still have some impact if you just make those phone calls. And one of the reasons we set Indivisible up the way that we have is to try to have different levels, because different times of your life, you know, you've got tests coming up, you're probably gonna have to cut down a little bit, you know, maybe just send some emails. But other times, you know, you've got more time, maybe you can do those meetings, maybe you can write something. So I would say, do as much as you can, do as much as you can sustain. Don't burn out. Don't feel bad if you can't do everything or as much as you want to, but do something.
Thank you so much. That was such a wonderful presentation. We loved your questions. We think you're amazing. Just thank
I think
you.
you guys are.
All
So,
right.
You guys are the future. You guys are our hope.
Thank you. Hopefully, yeah. We're working. We're working. It's hard, but we're doing something.
You're making a difference. You really are.
All right. And now we're gonna close out with Pat Hersey, who is the co-founder of Less Plastic, Please. And she's gonna be taking us through her experiences with getting the right laws passed.
Ranking share. Go to your presentation. Click share. I double click. What does it say? Did they supposedly allow you to share? This is what happened last time. It's fine. Huh? Can you ask them if it's, are they seeing your screen? Can you see my screen?
No, we can't see your screen.
Host disabled participant. So that whoever's the host is not allowing you to share. It's saying I'm not allowed to share. From the host. Who's from the host? Who's the host?
All right, Pat. It should be working now.
Okay, try to share again. Go back to share button. Okay.
Great, you're on.
Okay, now select your presentation. Okay. Stop working. Okay, well, thank you.
Pat, can you turn your camera on?
Video?
Yes.
Which one? Video. What video? This.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you, Liz. That was absolutely amazing, and proud to be part of Indivisible Howard County. This little Less Plastic Please was birthed from Indivisible Action Team. So I know what a powerful, positive organization it is. So she talked about all the great ways to do it, and we had skin in the game. So we found out what we say is the real way a bill becomes a law. Okay, so click back on this in that screen. Now try your arrow. Okay, so this is the real way a bill becomes a law. This is everything you need to know. It's very critical information, but what we found out is that there's more to that. We found the real way a bill becomes a law is with passion, determination, in good people. We at Less Plastic Please, we may have started the good trouble, but you can't do it alone. The main job is to become a champion for your bill. We were told that one of the reasons our bill passed was because we were champions for this bill. And our passion, of course, is less plastic. But we saw the bag bill as a microcosm of the bigger issue, our throwaway mentality. So we saw this bill as a concrete way to change behavior. And it's very important to find the folks that share your passion. I cannot emphasize enough that the key to passing a bill is to work together. None of this would have been possible without my co-founder, Elise Neinfeld-Batiste, Joe Horowitz, our go-to legal expert, Sue Hugan, who spearheaded our t-shirt bag campaign, and without the unbelievable collaboration from Sunrise, HOCO Climate Action, Indivisible, Our Revolution, Howard County Conservancy, Forest Ridge Elementary School, Trash Free Maryland, and Sierra Club. All of them work together to make this bill happen. You don't have to go to a fancy place. Most grassroots organizations start around a dining room table. And then you have to find amazing elected officials. We could not have been more fortunate to have Delegate Hill and council members Opal Jones and Rigby. Delegate Hill took us under her wing, and the co-sponsors at the county level fought hard for our bill. It's so important to develop a good relationship with your elected officials, because they are people too. Then you want to find your mantra, because things honestly can get tough. They can get frustrating, they can get discouraging. And you will have your naysayers. They will say the bill will never pass, the bill number's too high, it takes years to pass a bill, which truly is usually the case. And you may even be attacked by people on blogs. We were actually called a special interest group, but pay no attention. Go back to your mantra. Become educated on their subject. Know the points and the counterpoints. Go to the front lines. This is us taking a tour on the recycling center in Jessup. You want to learn the lingo. It's almost like learning a second language. All the committees are still confusing to me, but soon favorable report and second reading will start rolling off your tongue. And educate the community every chance you get. If there's learning abilities or places that will have festivals, great places to teach people the importance of why you're doing what you're doing. Tabling events are fabulous ways to reach out to the community. And if you can, a little trick is to give away something for free. We made crochet keychains in the shape of bags to help people remember to bring their bags, and it helped bring people to our table. You want to educate the educators about the bill. This is a great way to network, to get new ideas, and develop support for your bill. You want to testify. You want to write letters and collect petition signatures. One thing that we found was important was to collect the signatures at the county level by districts. So then you could hand each council member their petitions. So they know that each person that signed that petition was their constituent. And like Liz said, that makes a powerful commentary about the power of your bill. And find your way around Annapolis. Annapolis can be confusing and parking can be difficult. And you want to always check the committee rules on testifying. And just sometimes it's good to do a dry run. Go there, find the actual room. And like Liz had said, that website is a great website for all information regarding Annapolis. And you want to have meetings, not too many, but meetings are important. And bringing food is always a good draw. And you want to walk the talk. This is Lisa and I at the Festival of Arts. It helped us, again, reach out to the community, teach them about the different ways to dispose of items properly, educate them, and you get to learn about what the community is thinking. And you want to become creative. In the center is Sue Hugan, who spearheaded our T-shirt to bag campaign. We are proud to say that we now have volunteers sewing bags and giving them out for free at LA Mart, a store in Oakland Mills Village Center. It's a beautiful ripple effect of this bill. And you want to get some press coverage, writing letters to the editor. I had never done that before. I was surprised and thrilled that some of my letters got into the editor. So don't think it can't happen or you have to write anything fancy. Just write down your passion and you will get things done. And winning awards always helps. We were lucky enough to win the Howard County Green Leadership Award 2 years running and the HDCA Award. And again, this helps with recognition and networking. And remember to celebrate your victories. Like I said, it can be hard and frustrating and long days, but boy, when you win, every little step makes a big difference and it makes you feel good. And of course, cake always helps. And once it's done and it's passed, it's a wonderful feeling and it's worth fighting for. So don't ever forget that you can make a difference. So just go out, find your passion, and make a change. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Pat. What you've done is just truly amazing.
Oh, thank you.
We actually have a few questions. Our first one, how do you get good press coverage? Like, how did you get the reporter to keep covering your journey?
Well, I mean, I do feel like it helped that we actually started our campaign before the plastic became a big issue. And so we were fortunate, if that's the word, that started becoming more interesting to the community. So, but again, the more we reached out, we actually, any festival we would find, we would table, and every time we would meet someone there, and then they would know someone. So that networking, that connection, don't ever dismiss any opportunity you get to keep pushing it forward.
What was the most difficult hurdle that you had to overcome? And how did you deal with it?
Well, that's a great question. Like I said, it can be really frustrating, and it's surprising how many people try to knock you down. And to just keep saying that you're not going to listen to that, and you just want to. That's what we kept saying. We said we're just going to keep fighting till it gets done. But it's surprising that sometimes can be the biggest hurdle. Your own feelings of inadequacy, your own feelings of, oh, you can't fight City Hall type of thing. But you can, and it doesn't really take that much. One thing what I learned was that you really have so much more power than you think you do. If you have an idea, it can become a bill.
Did you ever help draft or write a bill with a representative?
No, actually, what we did is Joel took a bill from Prince George's bag bill and just kind of used that. But Delegate Hill, who was our sponsor on the bag bill, who I cannot say enough wonderful things about, this past session, I said, we need to declare a climate emergency statewide. We fought hard to get it at the county level. Hasn't happened yet, but we did get it at the Columbia Association level. And so she said, okay, let's put it forward. So she put that bill forward, and I did give her information and samples, but she wrote the actual bill.
Do you need to raise money to keep your actions going?
No, this is all nickels and dimes. We have a lot of it just came right out of our pockets. Fortunately, we did win an award that gave us money, which allowed us to buy our trifold for our tabling events. I make T-shirts and sell them occasionally. But no, fundraising is time consuming. I admire people that can have the time to fundraise, but to me, that got in the way of our actions that we wanted to do. So we just try to do it as grassroots as possible.
Our last question is, do you have any words of advice for Sunrise, for young people, for anyone?
I would say you guys I'm in awe of you, truly. You don't know how wonderful in the impact you're already making right now. So I would just say, keep pushing forward and believe in yourself, because I know that they are listening to Sunrise. At the federal level, they are listening to Sunrise. So don't dismiss that. And they will dismiss you. They will try every angle in the book. They'll say, oh, you're young. You don't know what you're talking about, right? But that is just not true. They are scared of you. And it's okay for them to be a little scared of you. So keep it up.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Well, I think that concludes our live stream for today. Thank you everyone who came out. The student performers were amazing. Liz, Pat, you guys are absolutely so inspiring. Everything that you do, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who's watching this live stream, for everyone who asked questions. And today's our last day of live stream, so tune in at 7 to 8 p.m. tonight. All right, I think we're good.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for coming.
All right, I think Grace ended the live stream.
Wait, did she?
Wait, Grace did?
Doesn't she need to be host to do that? Or can she just like do it?
Is Grace host?
I don't know. I'm gonna give it to her. I gave it to her, but like, I don't know.
Grace, is it over?